Hi everyone, Lisa Patterson here. Welcome to week 3. This is our week on writing. And I want to thank you for the first couple of weeks. I know some of you were just getting settled and got a little bit of a late start, but that's how it always works. So don't worry about it. We're all going to get caught up and it'll be fine. As always, if you have any problems or any concerns going forward with your time, your hours, your feedback, your supervisor, anything logistical, you just want to talk about how it's all going, please feel to reach out to me at any time. You can make appointments through Lock. I have open office hours on Tuesday and Wednesdays, pretty much all day. And as you know, I have really nice snacks in my office. So please come and visit me in room 518 or email or call me. Just a couple of things before I talk about this week. This is our writing week. This is week 3. Just a couple of things in UB Learns. There are a couple of discussions that are open at the top of the list of items in UB Learns. There's one that's an ongoing ask and share page. So please, as you get questions that you would like to ask, whether it's a topic you think we could explore or something that you would love a resource on, or if there's something that you at your job found that was really insightful, or a resource that they gave you to use that you think you might want to share with the rest of us, please post that in there. And I say that because nobody has yet. And I know it's early days, but please remember that that's there. We will be able to incorporate some of that and go off and find it. Even if we don't make it into extra work for you, we can just put it up there so people can use it. And it may end up being in the resource library forever. So that said, remember there is a resource library that has a lot of standing resources in there for you to use, including outlines of the courts and why shepherdize and a whole bunch of other guides. So definitely look in there. Finally, there is a discussion that's getting kind of timely. When we have our research week later in the semester, we will want to incorporate some of your questions about research with our librarian, Nina Cascio. So don't forget to go to the discussion on research and post a few things that you would like the research librarian to cover. She obviously has plenty of material on her own, but we want to tailor it to you. So make sure that you put that in there. Okay. So just a few thoughts from me on writing this week. I have given you some reading assignments, basically talking about what makes a good writer and giving you a few things that I think are more germane to being on site than maybe in a class. And the assignments this week are twofold. Basically, one will be a reflection that is private to me, that you don't have to share with anyone, just saying what you are thinking about your own writing and reflecting about that. And then there will be some one discussion that is broken into smaller groups. There's almost 50 of you in this class, so I've broken you into smaller discussion groups where you can critique a piece of writing together. You don't have to be there all at the same time. Just please log in at least once and make some comment on the writing sample. Those of you who are in judicial placements have a different writing sample to critique than the others, but that will be made visible later on Monday so that you can see that. If for some reason you do not find yourself in a group, let me know. Some people did add late. If you're not already in UB Learns, you may not have gotten in yet. So I'll only be putting in people who are already in UB Learns. So if you feel like you might have been missed somehow, let me know. Okay, substantively on writing. I know that you have taken writing and you took a whole year of lawyer. So we're not going to try to teach you or reteach you everything that you already learned there. The best part about an externship really is to take that classroom experience out into the world. And what I think I can tell you today is just a little bit of insight on how to do that. So the biggest challenge, I think, is to go from a classroom learning experience where everybody's writing the same memo and everyone has the same fact pattern and you have very clear instructions from your instructor and you kind of know what they want. And it's very easy to take that experience and go forward thinking, okay, this is how I'm going to do it forever for the rest of my life. This is what good writing is. I either got a good grade or I worked really hard to improve, and now I feel pretty confident in what I'm writing. And what will happen when you get on site is that you'll find that all of a sudden you have a different reader. It's not your lawyer professor anymore, it's a supervisor. Or that supervisor may be evaluating it because they know a client is going to be reading it, or because it's going to be going to a judge. And so this is where it's really important to start flexing your writing. And I always tell people, your writing is only as good as your audience thinks it is. Let me say that again. Your writing is only as good as your audience thinks it is. What does that mean? This is a difficult concept for me because I'm sort of a perfectionist and I take pride in being able to polish things and make them great and do my own work and be proud of it. And at the end of the day, you have to remember, and I have to keep remembering, that I am just a conduit for information. And I may have to change the way I would normally write or consume something because I know that my audience wants to see it in a different way. And it may be something different than what I had just done. It may even be based on the same research. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So let's say you're doing research on a search and seizure issue for a criminal law case. And you are instructed to write a research memo based on the fact pattern that you will do fairly formally, and it'll be somewhat like what you did in class, and you'll submit that to your supervisor, who is an attorney. Okay, so one thing you may want to ask is, does the supervisor really need it to be that formal? If they need it faster and they don't care if it's really pretty and gorgeous, maybe it's more important to get it to them fast than for it to be copy and pasteable into something that they're going to write. On the other hand, maybe they are hoping that you're going to submit something that'll be a whole section of their brief. And so they're going to need it to be perfect, and they're going to need it to sound good to a judge. And they're going to want to be able to pretty much plunk it into their brief without too much editing. So that's something that you can communicate with them ahead of time and really get a sense of who your reader is. If you guess wrong or you don't know, your reader is going to think your writing isn't very good. And it's not because it isn't, it's because it's not what they wanted. And so find out what they wanted. And maybe they just want a list of cases. So really be sure that when you're talking, getting your assignments that you're asking. Now, they may write that brief, however it is you agreed, and then they might say, okay, now I want you to write a letter to the client and update them on what's happening. That writing is not going to be the same type of writing as you wrote to your also law-educated boss. You're going to be writing it to someone who's a lay person who has no idea what you're talking about. So that type of writing will be very different. So just be aware that, you know, this is a great time to really flex and really just concentrate on, are you conveying the information and only the information that you need to convey, nothing extra? And are you conveying it in a way that your audience will understand it? And think very clearly about what your audience wants to know and how they want to hear it. So this is going to be a combination of your analysis and writing skills and also your ability to flex the presentation. Is your language casual because it's going to a client and it might make them feel more comfortable? Is your language very formal because it may be put into a brief that gets published as part of a case someday? Or is it somewhere in between? And is your overly formal language going to slow down your reader when they're trying to figure out what you're talking about, when you could use similar language? If your reader you think is going to be in a rush, maybe you need to slow it down and make it simpler. So those are some ideas. Let me just also quickly say something about getting feedback. It's really important at this stage that when you submit, especially writing, but really anything, but we're talking about writing today, getting good feedback from your supervisor or whoever you did the assignment for. And writing is a funny thing. It's kind of like it comes out of you, right? It's an extension of what you are seeing. And so you're always going to have blind spots with your reading, with your writing. And you need someone else's feedback all the time, even if they're not supervising you, even if it's just a co-clerk or somebody in your family or your friend to look at something. And let me tell you this analogy. When you get dressed, right? You put on an outfit, and let's say you want to look really good that day, and all you can see about your outfit is what comes through your eyes. You can only see your own reflection. You can only see your front, right? And you may think, look, I picked out these clothes. They're my favorite clothes. I think I look great. But if you get feedback from someone else who can see outside of what you can see, they might say, hey, from the back, did you know that, there's a weird seam on your jacket? Or, hey, you have some cat hair on your pants and behind your knee and you can't see that. So definitely feedback isn't really meant to be a criticism of you. It's meant to give someone who has eyes around in places that you can't see to tell you what they are seeing. And you may find that it's really helpful because you communicated something in a way that you didn't realize, that your understanding of it was so second nature to you that you weren't communicating it clearly to someone who didn't understand it. And so that's like someone telling you you have cat hair on your back. You didn't know it was there. You had no reason to know, but since they're looking, they can give you some of those heads up before it's too late, and they can really make it helpful to you. Okay. Don't be afraid of bothering people for feedback. You definitely want to know where you stand. And the worst thing is you don't want them to, give you criticism later when it's too late to fix it. So as much as you can, remember that you are there to be supervised. You are there for people to give you feedback and to help you grow. That's what this is. You're learning new skills in new situations, and you're all very talented. And now you're just learning a new way to apply what you're already great at. So have a wonderful week. I will be posting a video next week on bias. And I hope that if you have any questions, you'll get in touch. Take care.